Hey everybody, it's Pastor Cameron. I am chilling in quarantine all by myself. I'm actually upstairs in our church right now trying to get some work done, so I'm locked down. Don't worry, but I hope you guys are doing real good. And it occurred to me actually that we have a lot of time on our hands, and like even while I'm working, I like to work with background noise just to have something going on in the background just so I feel like I'm not like alone in this space. But if you know me, you know that I love Disney. And if you know me even better, you know that I got Disney Plus. I pre-ordered it like a month before it came out. So I have been chilling with Disney Plus, loving every minute of it. Right now that's Netflix though, because I can't stream Disney Plus up here. But that's okay. I can do it from my laptop and my phone. But it occurred to me while I'm watching all these Disney movies, and I have so much, time to do that now, and I guess so do you, that I can find like little tidbits of the Bible in every Disney movie that I watch. Now, I know that sounds a little bit crazy. I know that may sound a little out of the box, but I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to take a Disney movie and I'm going to see if I can pick it apart enough to find the gospel in it, or at least find some sort of element of the Bible in a Disney movie. So, it's going to be really awesome, and I hope you're ready for this. Just take a seat. And also, if you haven't watched any of the Disney movies that I mentioned, you need to stop and go watch those Disney movies, because at this point you should be well versed in all things Disney, because that's just how I feel about things. But first, we're going to start with one of the top Disney movies of all time. This isn't an opinion, it's the facts, it's just truth, so deal with it. We are going to talk about The Lion King. Yes, one of the top Disney movies, and it is one of the top three for score as well. Not just like a great movie all around, but the music is just, it's impeccable. It's so good, and there's so much to get out of it. But I figure I picked The Lion King because it seems like the most obvious one, although there's a lot to pick apart. So let's begin. If you forgot The Lion King, or you were trying to erase the live action one out of your head, I don't blame you. I didn't hate it, but whatever. Let's get down to the synopsis of this movie. So, The Lion King is about lions. More to the point, they're lions who are in a royal kind of system here. So there is a king, his name is Mufasa. He has a son, his name is Simba. And Simba has an uncle, the king's brother, whose name is Scar. All right, so that's like kind of our focus here. So Mufasa has Simba, which makes him next in line to be king, right? But then you got Scar, he wants to be king, so he tries to get rid of Simba. And in the meantime, he gets rid of his brother. From there, Simba runs away and he finds two lovable creatures, Timon and Pumbaa, a meerkat and a warthog. And he starts hanging out with them, trying to just escape from his past. But of course, you can't just run away from your past. You gotta, face it and everything. So a very adorable monkey named Rafiki comes and he tells him, you got to get back to your homeland because your uncle's taken over and everything's terrible. So he goes back, he has to fight his uncle. Of course he wins, spoiler alert, and everything's happily ever after. So that was just a quick overview. If you've never seen The Lion King, I don't even know how to help you if you haven't seen Lion King. Just stop the video right now and go watch Lion King. It's so important. It's such a cultural staple anyway. But so let's go back for those of us who have watched it repetitively, which is me and a couple others. I know I'm not alone. So for us who have already watched The Lion King several times, we're going to find the gospel in The Lion King. Ready, set, go. So first, you got Simba. Simba is going to go ahead and represent us for a little while, and you'll see why later. But then you've got Mufasa. Mufasa is going to represent God, the entire Trinity, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, all of it. So that is who Mufasa is. He's just our head. He is in charge. He is the father, right? Then you've got Scar. Scar is going to represent sin, temptation in our lives, things that would try to draw us away from God. So that's what happens there. Simba is so ready to be king. He knows that it's his rightful place to be king, that his father has been grooming him for these moments and, just being built up for the kingdom. And then you've got Scar, who just so easily, every once in a while, like it starts at the very beginning of the movie, just starts to feed him seeds of doubt and like mistrust in everything that he stands for. He leads him into really like dangerous places and places he shouldn't be, just with a word. It's not even like he brought him there himself. But I feel like that's what happens with us when we listen to temptation. We listen to things that would draw us away into like very sinful moments in our lives, where all it takes is just something so subtle and just so just a word to get us that way. So that's happening with Simba. He's getting in trouble, but always there's this redemption quality that comes back with his father Mufasa, who always, he gets like in this big trouble where he basically almost dies. But Mufasa, he yells at him, he fusses him, he disciplines him because he's a father. That's what he does. But he knows that Simba loves him and he wants what's best for Simba. So he just bear hugs him and he tells him, I'm always going to be there with you. But in that moment, he even explains to him, like, hey, there's going to become a day where I won't be right next to you all the time. And so he tells him to look at the stars, look at the sky, and that, he's always going to be looking down on him. And it just reminded me even then that Jesus was trying to tell his disciples way beforehand that he was going to die. And of course, they're not hearing it the way that they're going to hear it because, why would he die? But same thing's happening with Mufasa. He knows at some point that he won't be there anymore. He explains the whole circle of life to him. And so he's trying to prepare him for this moment where Mufasa's not going to always be there with Simba. But of course, we don't like to think about those kinds of things. So he just kind of pushes it aside and says, whatever. So now back to Scar, back to temptation and sin. Scar leads Simba into, the gorge where all the antelope come down, and it's so scary. It's literally the most heart-wrenching scene ever, and we're all still traumatized by it. But that is the moment where sin tries to separate us from God. So now he feels like he's just shoved God out of the picture, or he's just, eliminated all of the threats that he's got going on. And that's exactly what happened when Jesus died, is that, really, Satan really thought that he was on top. You know what I mean? Jesus was dying. He's on the cross. He's been in the tomb for 3 days and everything, boom. And then even Jesus said it on the cross, it's finished. So, Satan's thinking that he's on top and he's going to win. Well, that's what was happening with Scar. So now Simba just runs away, just like the disciples did. They fled. They just scattered everywhere. And they were so scared also of being killed, because Scar told him, you better run and you never come back. So what did Simba do? He goes to this paradise jungle thing. He basically goes on vacation for half his life, and he gets this concept of Hakuna Matata, which means no worries. But in this context of the jungle, the atmosphere, the scene where he's just relaxing and he doesn't have to worry about anything, he doesn't have any responsibilities, that's his Hakuna Matata. That's not right. So immediately as soon as he comes of age, he's got to get out of that. So now we got Rafiki. Rafiki represents the Holy Spirit, right? So he's leading him through this mess of stuff in jungle. He's like, come follow me because I know your father. And he's like, what, my father? I haven't heard that in a while. And Rafiki's like, I know your father, so you need to follow me. This is the Holy Spirit coming after us. This is also an awesome picture of Jesus pursuing us, because guess what? Simba gave up on his father, right? He's dead, he's gone, he's out of his life, and now he's living Hakuna Matata. So it took somebody else, an outside force, to draw him to where he needed to be. And that's what Jesus did for us, because let's face it, when we're in our sin and when we're not following God, we're not even looking for God. We're not even looking for Jesus. We don't have that inside of us, and that's what the Bible tells us. It takes Jesus and God revealing themselves to us to have us even just face the right way. So cool. So Rafiki takes him to this place and he says, I know your father is, and I've seen him. He's here. You got to take a look. And he's like, what are you talking about? So he tells him to look into the water and look at the reflection. And Simba sees, just for a second, his father, Mufasa, but then it turns right back into him. And again, blowing my mind here that is what happens when we accept Jesus. We become a reflection of Jesus. Jesus is making us to be like him, to be a reflection of him. And that's so important because of the next thing that happens. It's all this wind happens and the sky is moving and the stars or whatever, and it's the most earth-shattering scene again. It's heart-wrenching in one scene, but then this one is just so iconic, where Mufasa comes out of the clouds and he tells them, you've forgotten who you are, and so you've forgotten me. Oh my gosh. And that's what happened with all of humanity, right? We were born to be with God. We were born to worship. We were created to worship God and to spend time with him and be with him. But sin took us away from that, right? We got separated from him. And so we forgot about God. We forgot about who we were supposed to be with God. So you've forgotten who you are, created for him. And so you've forgotten him. You forgot the maker, the creator. Amazing. And so he tells him, remember who you are. You are my son and the one true king. Oh my gosh. So now we're flipping because who did he just see? In the water, he saw him. So who are we seeing now? We're seeing Jesus. So when we approach God, God is seeing Jesus, a reflection of his son, Jesus. And that's how we're accepted by God. What? That's the gospel right there. So he reminds us who we are. It's like we're taken back in time, back to our original purpose was just to be with God and to worship him. And so because we have Jesus, we're able to do that. We're able to be in front of God now and remember what it is we're supposed to be doing, which is worshiping God and loving his people. So now back to the loving his people part, because now he knows who he is. He's the one true king. He got to return to Pride Rock because sin has taken over. Temptation has taken over his place, his home. Absolutely not. So now he's doing like that slow-mo run. That's the best part. He goes there, and so now he's got to fight Scar. Now we got to battle sin every day. And so we take up our cross every day, but knowing we have the victory because that's his rightful place anyway, right? There's no way he can lose. So he goes, and of course he has this really big, ginormous, just dramatic battle. But the great thing about that for us is that Jesus already did that for us, and he does that for us every day. We only have to follow him. We only have to make sure that we are in pursuit of him. So good. So we always have the victory in the end, and boom, when Jesus comes back into the space where he belongs in the first place, things get better at the end. The Pride Rock was like a desert, fiery wasteland. It was like it was just awful. And then after that, like streams of living water flow, and then the trees are blooming everywhere, and everything's just perfect again because the rightful king is where he belongs. And that, my friends, is the gospel according to Disney via The Lion King. Thanks for joining. Give me some more Disney movies that you want me to break down the gospel in. There's tons. If you don't give me any, I've got a list anyway. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about all this? What would you like to add to my little synopsis there? That was like a super brief one. But tell me, what Disney movies do you want to see the gospel in? That's how I watch movies now these days, because if I don't, then I can't watch them because I only want Jesus. So if I can't find Jesus in it, I can't watch it. So do the same. Enjoy your quarantine. Do what you got to do. Stay home. Stay safe. Be blessed. I'm praying for you. I love you. Disney is really great.